Vacation, my mom, would put up the photos in chronological order and type out the story in large font and insert it into the photo album like a storybook. When I went to school, I would present the album and read it to the kids like a story until I couldn't tell that I was reading it. It would also help me discuss my vacations. So whenever there was a subject my mom needed me to understand, she would either write it down or had a video that had closed captioning. So I can see, hear, and learn it. So one of the outlets that made me the person who I am today is theater. So I mentioned earlier about echolalia. That is one of the key elements for me when it came to theater. So when I was a kid, I used to recite lines from famous movies. My parents, they knew what I was doing, but unless someone recognized the movie, they had no idea what I was talking about. For example, when I was 4 years old, my family and I were coming back from a trip to Florida. I picked up the phone on the plane and recited from The Princess Bride. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. And my parents fell over laughing by falling out of their seats. Another example was when I stood up at Dominic's restaurant. My parents begged me to sit down because they were nervous about what I was going to announce. I announced I would like to thank all the waiters and waitresses who worked hard to bring you your food today. And the restaurant broke out in applause. And right then and there, my mom enrolled me in Syracuse Children's Theater, where I was taught to act, sing, and dance. It helped me with my confidence as well as improving my comprehension as far as where is my character placed in the story. I appeared and performed in over 35 musicals and plays. I would say 35 to 40. I appeared in many musicals and plays such as The Phantom of the Opera, Grease, Once on This Island, Aladdin, Peter Pan, The Wiz, West Side Story, and The Producers, as well as many more. They believed in me enough to give me the lead many times. It gave me the confidence to continue my success. Last summer, I had the opportunity to be in Disney's Little Mermaid with the Town of Manlius Recreation Department as part of their 40th anniversary, where I played one of the sailors. So here are some things I learned about autism in my experience. So one of the first things about autism that I learned was that social situations are difficult for people with autism. It's not like we don't like people, we do love people, except with eye contact. It's considered polite for the neurotypical person. However, for autistic people, eye contact is very distracting. We are misinterpreted for being rude. That's not our intention. That is the same for our honesty. We are a bit too literal. For example, when I was younger, we went on for a car ride to nowhere. I asked my parents, "Where are we going?" They replied, "Just go with the flow." A few minutes later, I asked them, "How long does it take to get to go with the flow?" I thought it was a place. So you have to understand that certain expressions or jokes or phrases are completely lost on us. We can feel left out. I also have difficulty distinguishing between sarcasm, and sincerity. So individuals on the autism spectrum have specific interests and tend to talk about those interests. It's not easy for me to join in other people's conversations. But if you can talk to me, I can discuss many things with you. I'm intimidated to walk up to a group of people and join into the conversation. So with that being said, being autistic is like musical chairs. You always feel like you're the last person standing, and it can get lonely. So my advice would be, if you see someone in that situation, rescue them, go up and talk to them. So another thing about my disability is rocking and flapping. So myself and some people on the autism spectrum tend to flap our arms and rock our bodies. It's not that it's an upsetting or mad feeling to us. In school, I had a signal with my teacher to remind me to calm down, or they put a touch, or they would put like a gentle touch on my shoulder. It's calming. The term that describes the sentence is called sensory integration. Everyone has it, but it's really exaggerated with us. Like a typical person who taps their foot or twirls their hair, doodling with a pen when they're anxious. We don't realize that sometimes. It's calming for me to rock. And that is where occupational therapy helped me in my younger years. They would take me out for like a swing or a jump on the trampoline. But it was always important that these activities take place before concentrated learning, where you have to pay attention to something. It does not make sense to have OT before lunch or recess. It was always important to me, even now, to be seated in front of the class, or even away from the window, where there are less distractions. I used to get more time on exams and had note takers in college. Another outlet that made me the person who I am today, and that I'm quite known for, is my photography. So when I was little, I was one of those people that was very nervous about going to a family function or event. I was like the person that, wanted to stay home, watch a movie, and eat junk food. I was not interested in events. So that was when my mom tried an experiment with me. So starting with family events, my mom gave me a camera and told me that I have to attend every event as the photographer. So instead of talking to people, I would mingle and be responsible for photographing the event. I would also share the photos with the host as a gift. But now I post pictures on Facebook and Instagram and get many comments and likes for my work. With my friends, I also take tons of pictures that helps me get into conversations. And that was when I decided to be a photographer of my school's yearbook committee in 7th, 11th, and 12th grade. I also photographed events for the OCC Student Association for social media. Now I'm asked to photograph events, and it is a part of my job. Another outlet that made me the person who I am today is student government. So I wanted to make a difference and do something other than theater. So I ran for student government and was elected to office for 3 years. The kids were always supportive. I served as the vice president of my sophomore class, the junior class public relations officer, and the Student Council Public Relations Officer. I helped organize many events, including our junior prom and our annual dance marathon. So even though the kids were supportive, that was a different story with the administration at Ava Manly's High School. They were great up until high school. Then they classified me as an IEP student. For those of you who don't know what an IEP is, it is an individualized educated plan. My mom always told me, don't let anyone's opinion become your reality. When they said I was exempt from taking a foreign language, I still took French for 3 years and was the best in the class. They wouldn't even give me an assistant in high school. They wouldn't even give me a Regents competency exam if I failed the Regents exam. They just said, go to OCC and you'll get into the Ability to Benefit program. But they never mentioned to me that I had to take a test to get matriculated, or even pass a test to get matriculated. So FM never taught me enough math because I was an IEP student. So my mom yelled at FM, and they encouraged her to keep me at FM until I was 21 years old. But she lost faith in them and put me at OCC immediately. So we enrolled at OCC, and I took the non-credit classes as well as the credit-bearing classes, even though I wasn't matriculated for the first year. OCC wanted me to take the placement test. But then again, my mom didn't refuse. She was like, no placement test for Nicholas. But what she asked specifically is to talk to my professors and see how I'm doing. If I was doing well, she refused to let a test and all my accomplishments stand in my way. And if it was up to her, she would enroll me for all the classes until I finished them all successfully. Well, luckily, after the first year, OCC looked at my grades and decided to enroll me into the Ability to Benefit program. And that program meant to me that not only my courses would apply to my associate's degree, but also my GED. And around that time, that was the last semester the federal government had that program, and I was luckily grandfathered. I graduated in May 2014 with a 3.1 GPA. I was also awarded the Curriculum Honor Award in my department and had the opportunity to speak to the Board of Trustees. At OCC, I volunteered for 3 years with the Student Association, 2 semesters with the new interned 2 semesters with the new Marketing and Media Department, and worked at the Disability Services Office. And I used every service at OCC, including the DSO being one of them, Math Lab, Content Tutoring, the Testing Center, the Writing Skills Center, the Counseling Center, and Study Skills Center. They all offer exceptional services that I would recommend new and existing students to take advantage of and utilize on a regular basis. Every semester I attended as an OCC student with the support of the Disability Services Office. I had all my professors sign my accommodation sheet detailing all the accommodations I need for their classes, including a note taker, a calculator, and an alternative testing location. It's my way of telling them I have a learning disability. So whenever there was a certain subject that did not have a tutor, I let the professor know, and they would either recommend a former student that they had or offer to tutor me. And that's the same if I couldn't attend the class. I could still attend the same class, but at a different time and date. I also took the advantage of seeing my professors after class or during their office hours to see my class average and see what I can do to improve my grade. Another great example of my time at OCC was when I had to take a computer class called CIS 100, which was like your basic computer class. My advisor at the time, she said, "Oh, you're taking CIS 100. All my students fail that class." And that was not a good move at her part. I mean, you don't advise someone not to take that class because all of your students fail it. But then again, I had to prove her wrong. So I still took the class and got like a B+, B-. So one of the coolest opportunities that I had was having my own radio show. So for the past couple of years, I served as the host of the Lives Distinction radio show at Advocates Incorporated. Advocates is an agency that empowers individuals with developmental disabilities and their families, alongside Christine Burns, who's now the marketing and communications coordinator for Advocates, and she was also the producer of the show. On the radio show, I interviewed individuals with developmental disabilities who received self-determination services provided by Advocates Incorporated. I interviewed them on their hobbies, their interests, their goals, their volunteer opportunities, so on and so forth. Having my radio show was a dream come true for me. I enjoyed interviewing these individuals and following them on their journey. It also inspires others to hear their stories. And another great benefit was it helped me with improving my broadcasting skills while communicating with others. So if you have some time and would like to check out my radio show, they're actually on the Advocates website, which is www.advocatesincorporated.org. So besides my radio show, I've been talking about my autism through my lectures right here at Crouse. This is my second time here at Crouse. OCC, SU, WCNY, Family Centered Therapies, Advocates Incorporated, as well as SUNY Oswego. I am also a former volunteer at the Red House Theater doing administrative and research work. I've also volunteered at WCNY, helping with social media and administrative work, as well as the most for helping out at special events. So now, I currently work as a part-time marketing assistant for Syracuse Children's Theater. My duties are a combination of marketing and administrative work. During my time at SCT, I also had the cool opportunity to play Old Deuteronomy in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats in May 2016. In addition to working at SCT, I am also currently in driving lessons. So, there's a couple of things I want to conclude with this speech. The first thing is, if I could leave you with one thought during this entire speech, well, one of two, it would be this. People on the spectrum, if given the chance, can be one of two things: your most loyal friend or your trusted employee. Reach out to them, because reaching out to you is part of their disability. I have two notes as far as humor and enthusiasm. First of all, encourage your students by using humor and enthusiasm. I remember I had a dad who was like very strict and very like, let's go, move it, kind of like military base. But my mom was like, come on, we're going, it's a happy day.
Goofy.
She was very like positive about it versus my dad. So the second thing I want to talk about is help those people face their fears. For my facing my fears, examples were getting a new dog, taking pictures at social events, which I pretty much gave a whole spiel about. And another fear I conquered was singing Broadway songs when I had my ingrown toenail surgery. So, that's the end of my speech. I'll open up the floor to any questions you guys have.
So what age did you leave the FM school district and start at OCC?
My senior year.
Okay.
After my senior year, I went straight to OCC. Yes, David?
Sing us more. Sing more. Sing for the other two gifts.
Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. That's it.
Yeah, very good. Bravo. That's it? Usually we have lots of questions.
Since like theater is scripted, did you find it easier to like, I don't know, like learn that way with the script there already and people who are already, you know, theater people are like touchy-feely people?
Well, one of the things, I didn't bring it with me, but I used to bring it for a lot of lectures. I don't know where it is, but my mom, instead of learning a huge script, a very bulky script, she would only include the scenes that I'm in. Did the same process like with the photo album, typing out in Microsoft, pretty much typing on Microsoft Word and putting it on index cards and inserting it into like a little mini photo album.
But as you got older, I didn't have to do that anymore. So,
Yeah,
but when
and
you
this
were
was
younger,
like for all the lead parts, not necessarily the ensemble parts, because ensemble pretty much had it easy than the leads.
What was your favorite play?
I would say there's two plays that I really loved. One of them was Officer Krupke in West Side Story. Another role that I loved was Vince Fontaine in Grease.
which is on YouTube. So.